Hello, Internet.
Oh, hello. Boy, we've been missing for a while.
Yes, I wonder why that is.
I was busy. I was like up north in the woods.
I was in this sauna / sweat box called my house.
Oh, we actually had a real sauna up north, but I didn't go to one. So, but I should have, because we have a lot of saunas in northern Minnesota. It's all Finnish people and Polish people and a scattering of Germans. So lots of saunas everywhere. Everybody has a sauna.
They love their saunas.
They love their saunas. Yep.
If
real saunas with rocks and water and yeah. So what the hell? I have no idea why we're doing a stream. So James,
you have lots of videos that you've mentioned that were on your mind.
I do.
That you wanted to provide reactions to. Is that not true, sir?
Well, I don't know. I had a little thing that I got from. I got this weird email from. Hang on a second here. El Shema Ministries. Are you familiar with El Shema Ministries?
Yeah, Shema, I think is isn't that like Hear, O Israel, the Lord, our God, the Lord is one, something like that. And so El Shema Ministries, how do you spell the Shema?
SHAMAH. El Shema. And that's kind of why I chose the graphic for today's show, because I went to El Shema Ministries and clicked on the link, and I went to the Cat's Board, the Brazilian douche canoes fucking website. Yeah, El Shema Ministries.
Oh, that's so wonderful. There's also an El Shema Imperial de Cabello beauty salon in Brazil. There's a jewelry designer, El Shema Fabrica de in Brazil. So there you go. Apparently that's a big corporate name in Brazil. A name of businesses and stuff.
Okay, so that's why it's El Shema. So maybe he works for El Shema designing machines that look like proteins. Because, startling vidence of design. You see the title? The title on top.
Startling evidence of design. Oh, boy. Oh, Tangelo.
Up on top, it's startling vidence. And then he goes through and he writes all this stuff about the complexity of proteins and enzymes, structural support, transport and signaling. And then he goes on, he starts talking about the immune system and then regulation and control. And then he goes down and he starts talking about movement. And he's basically talking about all of life. And so he's saying it boils down to, you can just erase this whole thing and say, look at the trees. They're complicated.
Yeah. It all boils down to the same argument.
But he has no argument other than about every other paragraph. He said, and that can't happen without an intelligent designer. But there's no real, you see, what these people don't understand is when you say, if P, then Q. Well, that then part is really important. It's called implication or entailment. P has to entail Q. if I hit the cue ball, it's going to move and hit something else, right? So if I hit the cue ball, it hits another ball.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If I'm lucky. And they forget that part, that entailment part. They miss out. They just kind of like John Maddox used to do. He just blurts something out, create a bunch of premises, and then just go to the conclusion. It's like premises, then conclusion. And the reason for that is because to them, the way they think, there's no other way it could be, because their thinking is frozen in concept space by their belief, and they never, so they think that if they say this first part, life is complicated, then everybody will understand that only design can make complicated things, right? It's like, I don't get it. Anyway, there's that. Then there's this. I thought this was also, we're going to talk a little bit about conservatives losing their shit over Pride Month. Because
yeah, it's been all over the place, hasn't it?
Yeah, just dozens of videos. I suppose we could do a little bit of that now. I linked Ember's channel. Ember is doing wonderful work. He does wonderful videos. He makes me ashamed of my own videos. And he interviewed Aron Ra. And it was a wonderful interview by Aron Ra, where Aron Ra kind of got into his backstory a little bit about how he got into activism. And he got into activism in a very neat way, which I might be able to find here if I actually, let me see here. Maybe we'll want to listen to it a little bit.
Let's listen to it a little bit.
Okay.
That argument. And one of the people that I encountered there was,
okay, background. He's talking about the early internet. They had news groups where people got together and exchanged information and talked. And it was and I don't think they're even around anymore. But he met somebody. So
some group of reconstructionists associated with R.J. Rushdoony of the Chalcedon or however the hell you say that Godzilla name. The Chalcedon Institute, and they wanted to overturn our democratic republic and replace it with an autocratic theocracy that would enforce Levitical law.
Not even rabbinical law, but like straight up Leviticus kind of stuff.
Levitical law, yes. So death penalty weekends, that sort of thing.
No mixed fabrics.
Yeah, I had this conversation with these people where they were telling me that their minister of their little church had been on the phone with all of these other ministers of all these other churches all across the state to get everybody to vote as a block for certain dog catchers, school board members, judges, senators, etc., so that they could place strategically everybody at every level of state and federal government would be replaced with an evangelical, fundamentalist, reconstructionist Christian. And
okay, I want to pause right there to mention that we have a lot of creationists and evangelicals in Congress right now, right?
Oh yeah, they're horrible.
And in the Supreme Court and all over the place. And he's talking about these people who plan to do this, which is interesting.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's been high dollared push to get all sorts of evangelicals into places in the government so that they could have this theocratic / fascist rule over people.
Yeah.
The way they explained this to me in the discussion we were having, and remember, this is all in text only. This is one of the most primitive parts of the internet, which doesn't even exist anymore. We still have email. There used to be 3 components to the internet. It was internet, there was email, news groups, and World Wide Web. And the news groups don't exist. Still have the other 2. But on this internet or on the news groups thing, they were telling me how they had already placed all these judges and senators and so forth, and that it was now inevitable that they were going to have a Kitzmiller versus Dover event, which was planned to happen within the next 5 years or so. And all of that came true. It's just the way the judge ruled was different than what they expected. They expected it to be a Republican appointed conservative Christian judge, which John E. Jones was. But they expected that that judge was going to rule on behalf of his religion rather than science. And the argument that they put forth was in order to do this culture war, the first step was to cause everybody to question the validity of science. And that would make them suspicious.
And isn't that something that we're also seeing? I mean, that's why I started this channel.
Yeah.
The whole thing about, questioning science. So it's like, this is kind of fucking spooky to me that back in the 90s, there were these people who had this plan. And of course, it goes back to the 70s where the Republican Party decided they needed the evangelical vote in order to proceed. And then abortion became part of their platform, right? But the whole thing is like, I mean, I'm not particularly fond of conspiracy theories, but
well, no, there's been a political strategy at play. Like it has to do with creationism, but also has to do with larger social, political issues. There was a Philip Johnson, I think he was a lawyer. He, I think a lot of it had to do with spreading creationism, but they came up with this wedge strategy in politics to, just slowly get, little tiny victories at the local level. There's organizations that will write boilerplate legislation to spread around to all the state governments, even the local government, the federal government. There's just been a consistent, organized push by evangelicals over the long term to get their way, and it's just born fruit. It's fruit of an evil tree, but it's fruit nonetheless. So I'm not surprised. It may seem spooky, but it was just people working in the background, raising money, using all these fear tactics and spooky, just like Fox News. Fox 4 is our local Fox affiliate, but they will, drum up all these issues to rattle their audience so that they'll, make contributions to various political ends, and then they'll keep watching and get the shit scared out of them some more. So, they're putting, getting on websites and sending money to all these anti-LGBT groups right now, because that's what Fox is trying to do, is to scare everybody, all of their listeners.
Let me try to sketch this in a little bit, okay? So early on, the Republican Party decided they needed that evangelical vote in order to stay in power. Now, the Republican Party was sort of founded on the idea of Constitution. There's nothing. We do not want to change the Constitution. We want to be conservative about that, and that's what conservative used to mean. But then they started getting their asses kicked, or they perceived that they were getting their asses kicked, and they wanted to get elected every election, not just, every other one like they have been. And so they adopted this evangelical platform. So, okay, the evangelicals have their own idea, and their idea is a theocracy, which would obviously fuck about 3/4 of the Constitution, right?
Oh, yeah, it's like great suggestions.
So the Republicans, to selling out in to gain power, have become consumed by this other group who is all about getting rid of the Constitution, getting rid of separation of church and state, possibly even the First Amendment. Of course, the Second Amendment would land and stay there, right? It would be sacred. But I mean, what the fuck? You know, this is a very seriously disturbing thing, and they talk about this a little bit in this video a little further on. I'm just going to play one more part I thought was amusing, and it comes up in about 20 seconds. So let's see where he is.
Yeah, it's the same thing the old church fathers did when people said, well, what about, you know, all the Jewish prophets? And they said, oh, well, it wasn't their fault. They were before Jesus. So Jesus did the scouring of hell and freed them, or whatever nonsense.
Yep, a nice parallel there. So the way they explained it to me, how they were doing what they were doing, was much the way a Bond villain would explain their entire fiendish plan to James Bond, expecting that, you know, no, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. And I was feeling somewhat desperate. Yeah, there goes my country.
There goes my country.
Oh, right? Yeah, I've been saying that for years. Yeah. There goes my country.
Yeah, you know, I just think we are with these fucking dog whistles and these particular things that they want to bring to the forefront, right? Like now they're losing their shit over pride, right? And they're losing their shit over pride because, as I forget who said it exactly, one of these videos that we did on the last show, they were like, it's in your face, it's in your face. Well, they're the ones that are talking about it more than anybody else. And the reason that we're talking about it is because they're attacking it. And it's just like, so if they don't want it in your face, they're lying about that. They do want it in your mind constantly. They want to turn it into some sort of a freaky attack on children, that we're gonna turn all the frogs and children gay, and they want you to believe that and fear it. But they're the ones that are making it an issue. I don't think anybody else is. I don't.
Right. But, projection.
Yeah. Something like that. Anyway, that's a pretty good video, and I think I'll let you guys go out and watch the rest of it. It's hour and 30 minutes long, and it's really
Hey, good. Have you noticed how many followers Ember has? I haven't.
He has over 1,000. He just went over 1,000, 1.08. When I started looking at him, I think he had like 200 or something. And that wasn't long ago. So he's rapidly gaining ground. He kicked our asses. So anyway. Pretty good. I just sent you a link, James, in text if you wanted to join us for this. What else we got here? Let's see. Oh, this guy. Okay, I guess we got that, and then we have that, and then we have. Let me see here. Okay, we found out that Eric Murphy and V, I forget her last name.
LaBianca.
LaBianca, their last name. I'm not sure what the pronouns are. They haven't done anything for like 6 months. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what the story is on them. Maybe our illustrious side chat knows what's become of them, if they're just like on a break, or if they decided not to podcast anymore, or broadcast, or YouTube cast, whatever we call this.
Yeah, that's sure. Yep, and this shorts don't work very well. I need a shorts viewer, but anyway, I wanted to play this. This is from Creation Today or whatever, and this is the same person that was on Eric Hoven's channel, I think, the other day, but I don't think we played this.
LGBTQ is the new religion, and it's being pushed absolutely everywhere. And unfortunately, it's not looking like it's going to go anywhere anytime soon. So we need to be equipped as parents. Like, generations before us didn't have to deal with this in the same way that we do. If you have kids today, you have to be dealing with this. You cannot just be waiting. You can't just be letting your church handle it or hope that
you see here the anxiety. She's just
because
trying to build up the anxiety
of our day. It is being thrown at our kids from every single direction, and they need to know how to think biblically and how to respond with the gospel.
Oh, yeah, no.
issue.
There's transgender people.
How to
Run!
think, yeah, think biblically. You got to think biblically when you hear
biblically, I have to go take a shit. Biblically, I have to wash my hands.
There is a documentary called Visible out on television that Apple TV is featuring. And this documentary educated the hell out of me on.
I'm about halfway through that, and it's a really good documentary.
Right, and if they want to know why there is a Pride Month and why it's in your face, well, it's because there was a whole group of people were completely invisible to us back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, starting in the 70s. And they were like, hey, we exist. We are people. We walk among you. I'd heard one time that something like 10%, maybe gay and LGBTQ. Yeah. So they're among us, and they weren't being represented on TV except as murderers and psychopaths. And basically, they used to think it was a disease and all of that stuff. And one of the things that Pride Month does for us is it makes them visible. And that's kind of what they want. And TV, the big complaint of the Conservative Party is that, there's too much gay on TV. It's turning the frogs gay, those TV rays. And the reason we need that in order to fucking see these people and listen to them and understand that there's a whole section of the world me, hetero white guy doesn't know about and didn't know about when I was a kid until I was 30, 40 years old before I even understood any of it. And that's why we have it. And that's why we have parades. And we had a big pride celebration, Minneapolis, 600,000 people, I guess, something like that. It was pretty amazing. But I was afraid to go there because there's so much gunfire in Minneapolis right now that you kind of have to crawl around on the ground. Right?
Yeah, and that pavement gets hot. Oh, that's right. Y'all don't have a summer. Y'all have an extended spring.
Oh, come on. It's fucking 80, 90 degrees here. That's hot enough. We don't. But you Texans, you got to move out of that fucking place.
Yeah, really.
Message, right?
Do you realize that our illustrious Republican governor just signed into law, or at least the law just passed that I think he signed it into law already, that outlaws, not outlaws, it eliminates local governments like cities from imposing water breaks on workers who work outside. In other words, like I think the laws in local establishments and cities said that workers had to take a water break of 10 minutes every 4 hours. That's the minimum, And so you're working outside. It's getting up to 104. The heat index is in the like the 100 teens, and it's against the law for a city to say, okay, anybody working outdoors, in the city limits has to give their workers a water break, and that's it. Water breaks are outlawed in
corporations Texas. Too, or just public money.
I think it applies to everybody.
So the party that doesn't want regulation is regulating water breaks.
Yeah, it's regulating water breaks. Now, I'm sure that like any sane business owner who has a crew working with them outside will probably have them take water breaks every hour. Because it's that bad, it's that hard to work outdoors. So many things apply here. How insulated from real life are these Republicans that they would pass a law like this, because that just indicates they don't go outdoors. They don't sweat unless it's a recreational thing. They don't have, they're not in positions where they have to go outdoors and, swing an axe or raise a hammer, work on the highway. Oh yeah, that's
Maybe.
right, Eddie. It's just amazing. They're insulated. They're unempathic. They don't care. It's all about, as politicians, their own personal cash flow. That's the only thing that they care about.
So,
But
yeah.
I'm thinking even Republican small business owners should be giving much more frequent water breaks to their workers. Now, there is also a dimension of this, and I don't know if anybody in the side chat has mentioned it. I haven't been keeping up with it very well, but most of those workers are probably going to be Hispanic, and that may be the key to all this. Is that presumably immigrant, attitude, and anti-Hispanic attitude that a lot of people have.
There's a happy story here about the guy with his 2 kids hiking, and I don't know what happened, but the dad got in his car and started driving and had a wreck, but one of the kids died.
That's sad.
Reminded me of a happy story in northern Minnesota, up where I was vacationing on the North Shore. There were 2 18-year-olds, and they were standing on a cliff on Lake Superior, and they said, "Hey, Gonzo, let's jump in the lake," because it was like 80, 90 degrees out. And they jumped in the lake, and they recovered their bodies later that night. Lake Superior is not a forgiving lake. It's 40 degrees.
Oh, no.
It runs between 32 and 40 degrees all year long, and you don't want to jump in Lake Superior.
Yesterday, I was dreaming of jumping into a body of water that is just a wee bit above freezing temperature.
Yeah, okay. Well, come up and see me, Scott. I'll take you to that cliff, and you can jump in the lake.
Oh, that would be so wonderful.
But I'm like, okay, there's Darwin at work, right? I think. I don't know. Gonzo, let's jump in the lake. Oh my God, both of them get killed. Pretty amazing.
Anyway. I really wish that these Republican lawmakers had at least the imagination that Niddy has. Because if so, they wouldn't pass these laws. So not only are they racist, not only are they elitist,
right?
They're also just so goddamn unimaginative. But I think that has a lot to do with unempathetic towards people who are below them.
My friend Rhonda and used-to-be wife works at a grocery store called Cub Foods, which is one of the mega stores in Minnesota, and they're owned by United Natural Foods out of Providence, Rhode Island, and they don't allow water breaks either. They don't allow the clerks to drink water no matter how hot it is or how long they've been standing there. They also only allowed a very limited amount of time. If you were positive for COVID, they wanted you to come back to work right away and breathe on all 400 customers who go through your line.
Yeah, because if everybody had COVID, then nobody's really inconvenienced. So,
Where did James go?
I don't know.
I was just going to ask him, what the fuck, James? What the fuck?
Now, I did mute him somewhat because he was, I think getting things in order and it was coming through. But
yeah,
but James, if you're there, please come back.
I just
love you. We miss you.
I wanted to discuss a few things with you.
We should have had him. with one of those GPS tags like some dogs get.
Yeah.
That way we would know where he was and if he
Yep.
was safe. At least if he was safe.
Oh my God, Dave's. Oh my God, 123 degrees at a concert.
Whoa.
Yeah. Wow. Holy shit. That's pretty bad.
Back before Misters.
Oh, I can't imagine being in that mosh pit. That would be
123 degrees.
Yeah, that would kill you.
Yeah, it would.
People were.
I would become a raisin because I would just sweat everything out of me.
Yep. And I got a guy here named, what is his name? Dave Rubin, I think.
Oh yeah, he looked familiar. He is constantly quoted and mocked on like what's that Sam Cedar show, Majority Report, and TYT will mercilessly mock him because he's such a rube.
A rube.
Yeah.
Rubin. I guess he's a conservative gay person.
Yeah, he's a token
gay for the Conservative Party. Okay.
I guess he's a more tolerable version of Milo Yiannopoulos.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah, I got a few bookmarks from him. I'm not sure why, but maybe I'll figure it out.
Get in their minds and start confusing them.
Oh, hang on a second. You want to? I had him a little sped up.
Think about the litany of other things that you can then get them to be confused about. And that seems to be what our corporations and what our government wants. So the average person, the average guy who buys Bud Light, shops at Target, or used to buy Bud Light, used to shop at Target, perhaps still watches the Joe Rogan show, they have just about had it. But the machine just keeps coming top down. Here is Joe Biden, the elderly man with dementia who sniffs little girls' hair, the guy who's pretending to be president, but clearly is not pulling the strings. Here he is at a Pride celebration this past week.
It's wrong that extreme officials are pushing hateful bills, targeting transgender children, terrifying families, and criminalizing doctors. These are our kids. These are our neighbors. It's cruel and it's callous. Not somebody else's kids. They're all our kids.
No, you old windbag. They're the parents' kids. That's all. My kids are not your kids. Okay? I don't understand how anyone could think anything other. Also, the idea that somehow the government should come in and force this, which is what they're trying to do in California, and that Joe Biden, mind-muddled, stammering. So yes, this gender stuff, this chopping of kids' genitals off, this sexualizing of children and everything else, it's not coming from the bottom up. It's coming from the top down. It is coming from our federal government. It's coming from our institutions, literally our military institutions at this point. It's coming from our corporate institutions. And that's what we really have to think about. It's not just the average person that is trying to push this on everybody, right? When we showed you those videos last week of Glendale, California, right? It's a suburb of Los Angeles. And all these parents are out there pushing. What do you mean, anti-LGBT? These are just parents.
The guy is just a blubbering lunatic.
Right. Now he said, notice that he said, these are our kids. These are our children.
Yeah, he just kind of switched, didn't he?
To do what we want to do with, right? So what are the laws that people are upset about telling us about our children and what we can do with them? And there's, I'm trying to find a particular part here.
Parents. These are just parents who don't want state workers talking to their kids about sex. They're not anti-LGBT protesters. You're actually kind of turning them into.
Okay, so they want to protect their children from being talked to.
Yeah.
By other people's ideas, right? So they don't want them to be talked to. But
that's not really what they are. They were fine a year ago when you weren't talking to their kids about sex. But the point is, this is all top down. Why is it that these corporations and the government want everybody to be trans and put up trans flags instead of American flags and everything else? Well, here is Joe Biden.
Okay, do you have a really small lawn, Dave? Because like you can either put up a trans flag or you can put up an American flag, but there ain't room for both. And, you know, what does it mean when you put up an American flag? I mean, it used to mean, I don't know what it used to mean. I used to think of it as like 4th of July is coming and I get to go to a parade and have ice cream. But it's sort of like, oh, America is like the greatest, you know, the greatest. And of course, we've gotten a little bit more humble about that since we've gone kind of internet and global and started to listen to the rest of the world. Yeah, here we go. So nobody is chopping fucking.
Yeah, nobody's forcing things. It's just saying, hey, if parents want to do this for their kids because it's the best thing, it's the path to my kids' happiness and sense of wholeness, then let's take the steps that are appropriate at that age, in consultation with various mental health and MDs. It's not some sort of unilateral, okay, you're 12 years old, let's march you off to the trans factory.
Yeah, and chop your genitals
Yeah,
off.
it's a totally different dynamic, and
I'm
not qualified. We have Stephanie in the side chat who very well mentioned that nobody chops anything off. It's not a description of what goes on.
Yeah, I tried to find some stats on under 18 surgeries.
Yeah,
and, they only have like a couple of examples that they can come up with, and I think
this idea they want everybody to be trans. No, nobody wants anybody. I mean, it's if a person feels like they're the wrong gender, and I'm probably putting it wrong this way. I'm not well schooled in the vocabulary of that, in social environment, but
it's okay to put your foot in your mouth once in a while.
Yeah, I'm nothing but feet. I've got athlete's foot of the tongue. It's just
right.
But what I'm saying is I've lost my point. But anyway, it's not the way he's describing it. He's crazy. Don't get your worldview from Dave Rubin.
Now what
I
want to point out here.
People need to talk to people. Get face-to-face time with people who aren't like you and find out about their lives. That's what would stop all this bullshit.
What I want to point out here is Rubin here is talking about how there are children and we don't want you even talking to our children, let alone telling them what they should do, right?
Hey, real quick, have you got Stephanie's email address?
I do.
Why don't you send her a link?
I can send Stephanie a link. We can put the link out too.
Okay, I'll put the link out.
Okay, anyway, follow me here, right?
I'm following.
So he doesn't want people telling him what he should do with his children. But all of the laws that we're talking about, or a lot of the laws we're talking about, are affecting our children when we want it to be another way.
Yeah.
We have a different idea about our children. Now, he doesn't have a problem with telling us what to do with our children, but he has a problem with us telling him what to do with his children and talking to his children, right?
Right.
How the fuck does that work? How in the hell does he miss that really fucking simple logic? That the government shouldn't be controlling what kind of medical procedures you can elect for your children. And that if the government does anything, and he goes on a little further here and talks about how Joe Biden says he wants to have all this money for basically psychological evaluation of psychological education and evaluation for children and for everybody. And he comes down against that because he thinks, oh, they're going to make them gay if they talk about psychology to my children. If they talk about sexuality to my children, they're going to make them gay. It's like, no, they aren't. That isn't how gay happens. Anyway, so I just got fired up about this, and I got fired up for a number of personal reasons, some people that I know, as well as, yeah.
In terms of consistency and everything, I don't think Dave really cares about giving a great, well-constructed, balanced argument that considers all the sides and has an answer for everything. I think what he's up to is getting people fired up. You know, it's that fear response thing. Get them afraid and anxious about what the world's coming to, and they start clicking on his links. They start upvoting his shit and joining his Patreon if he has one. And I think that's what it's all about, is stirring up a base more than it is.
But he presents himself as being Mr. Logical and Mr. Reasonable. Anyway, there's another part here I wanted to play.
Making up some complete nonsense again during more Pride celebrations this weekend.
We have to act as a nation. We need to push back against the hundreds of callous and cynical bills and laws introduced in states targeting transgender children, terrifying families, and criminalizing doctors and nurses. These bills and laws attack the most basic values and freedoms we have as Americans. That's not hyperbole. That's a fact.
No, it's hyperbole. It's not a fact, you buffoon. We did a bunch of searching for these hundreds of evil bills, and here's what we came up with.
So, of course, I took the challenge and came up with some searches for hundreds of evil bills. Anyway, so there's a couple of different resources that talk about, these are all the states that have laws or policy banning gender affirming care has passed in red, and the ones in yellow, and they have basically they're considering these laws. And here's the ACLU, and they're tracking a bunch of bills, and you can go here and find each individual bill by state. And he came up with nothing but crickets. And here's another site that comes up, same thing. 174 bills, 33 states, 26 passed, 142 failed. That's so. Should I be encouraged by that? I don't think so. But anyway, so
we have Stephanie with us.
Right.
Hello, Stephanie.
Hey. Yeah. How are you?
Good.
How's good? Oh, can you hear me? Okay, I'm on my iPad. I'm working on sale lot.
We can hear you.
Really good. Yeah, you're doing well. So
I think so.
Anyway.
I don't know. It's hard to say. Yeah, these crackpots who don't have any idea how any of this stuff works yet feel compelled to tell their fearful listeners all about stuff and lie about it. It's enough to drive a person to drink.
I know. Yep. I'm hoping they don't do that to me, but
well.
But it's goddamn close. I'm just, and I've gotten a barrage of these things. For some reason, YouTube has been like suggesting all these conservative people losing their shit over Pride Month, and their main point seems to be, we shouldn't have Pride Month. We shouldn't have, it shouldn't be in our face, and that's all they're talking about. I mean, they're the ones that are talking about it more than anybody else. Like,
yeah, sorry, I lost you guys for a second. Like I said.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Stephanie, I have a question. Have you seen that documentary Visible?
On Apple TV?
No. Visible. Okay. No, I don't believe so.
Really? It has a wonderful history of TV and movies and the LGBTQ and the progress that's been made over the years.
Are you talking about Laverne Cox's documentary? It was on Netflix for a while. It is called Disclosure.
Nope, this one is visible out on TV. It is, let me put it up so it's a little bigger. Out on television. It's a documentary miniseries about the representation of LGBTQ plus people in television. And it goes through the history. It mentions Anita Bryant and
that was such a beautiful section where it talked about Anita Bryant and kind of her downfall.
Yeah, and they did a poll of people who I forget what it was, but it's like, who are the most evil people in the public eye ever? Oh. And it was Anita Bryant and Adolf Hitler together were the top on the poll. So like she scored right up there with Adolf Hitler. I couldn't fucking believe it.
Yeah, that was a Johnny Carson monologue joke.
Yeah. The Dark Ages, television, the Dark Ages talks about the Dark Ages, and that made a really important point. It educated me on why this stuff needs to be public. I don't know. I felt educated. Okay. I got schooled basically by that episode. And television is a tool, the epidemic, of course, HIV, and breakthroughs and the new guard. So it's pretty cool. Very good documentary.
Yeah, really. Well, another one is Disclosure. Very similar thing, but it goes through all media, and it goes all the way back to D.W. Griffith, turn of the century stuff. It's really, really good.
Okay.
And yeah, it's very good indeed. Anyway, yeah, Anita Bryant, Jimmy Buffett. I remember back in the day, Jimmy Buffett did a tune. The last verse, or the last bit of the, I don't know, coda, I guess you'd call it, goes. And I hope Anita Bryant never ever does one of my songs. It's one of my favorite ones. She was a total asshole. She's still alive, by the way.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's unfortunate.
Well, no, it's not. I mean, good for her. Maybe she's found redemption somewhere along the line. My sewing machine's gonna be loud for a second. So
I remember Anita Bryant back when I was like in my hippie years, and I have no sympathy for her, whatever, ever.
I remember Anita Bryant from orange juice commercials, and then for some reason, it was a big deal when she got a pie in the face, and so I remember her from the news and her anti-homosexual stance just from that. But God equals the square root of one is also mentioning that there was the Harvey Milk era there.
Yep.
Of his activism, his being out as gay, and getting a commissioner's seat in San Francisco. And then, of course, his assassination along with the mayor of San Francisco at that time. So that really educated me because I really wasn't aware of him. I know there was a movie with Sean Penn, but I have never seen it. So
yeah,
that was the beginning of Dianne Feinstein's political career, actually, because George Moscone was the mayor, and Feinstein was I think Feinstein might have been deputy mayor, and Milk was a commissioner, and the two of them got killed by Dan White. That's the guy's name. He was a crazy homophobe.
Well, the thing that blows me away about that is I lived through that era, and I did not see that story on the news at all. I don't think it was really on the news that much.
Oh, it was.
It was, but not in
Minnesota. You're in Minnesota. Didn't.
Oh shit! I cannot find this General. Okay,
that's right. He was Dan White was another county supervisor.
He was another commissioner in San Francisco, city commissioner, and he didn't like them homos much.
Yep.
Didn't care for them, because after all, they were they were corrupting the youth, just like all the trans people are corrupting the youth now. The rhetoric is all the same. It's the same rhetoric.
Yeah, that's the more things change, the more things stay the same. That really hits you after a certain number of years.
Yes, geez, when was that? That was in the 70s, right? And then there was AIDS.
And the documentary covers all that so well. I thought it was just wonderful. Anyway. Yep.
Leo, how you doing today?
Hey, Leo.
I'm doing fine. I'm just reading about Harvey Milk's and Mayor Moscone's assassination right now.
Yeah.
There you go. George Moscone. Moscone. Yep.
Oh, is it Moscone?
So as I recall,
Okay.
He was Moscow. Let me
it's
see.
spelled. It's spelled Moscone. I think.
1978. So, yeah,
Wow.
I think I was living in the Twin Cities then, and I should have seen the news. I don't know.
Yeah, of course, I was in Arkansas, so I was totally unaware of anything like that.
I mean, I remember Elvis died, and that was on the news a lot.
Oh yeah,
He did. He died. His last. Elvis left the building in Portland, Maine. Everybody's waiting for him to show up in Portland, and he didn't. He was indisposed.
So you think they murdered Elvis Presley to cover up the Harvey Milk assassination?
Undoubtedly.
Probably did. Dan White. Anyway, so you're making a sale?
Yeah.
That's a really elaborate looking sewing thing.
It is. It's There.
Oh my God.
Look at that sucker.
It's huge. Yeah.
It's got 2 feet of throw underneath the arms.
Yep.
They just ran out of bobbin thread, and it's pissing me off.
78 is the year of the trees. What?
Just look at them,
Yeah, just look.
That's when we proved God.
Yeah. Yep. A lot of godly.
So anyway, what you gonna continue with this
video
weird guy? Yeah.
Yeah, we got a few more clips by this dude. Let's see, where are they?
I wonder what drives people to, aside from, I just find it hard to believe that they actually give a fuck about any of this stuff. It's just.
Well, for somebody like Rubin, I just think it's a way to, I can't remember, the stigmatize people to have other people give them money.
Yeah, I think it's a grift. The unfortunate thing is it's a grift that does positive damage to people's lives.
That's the point. Yeah. That's the point of the grift. The cruelty is the point. We have to remember this when we're talking about American conservatives or the Republican Party, is that the cruelty is the point of what they're doing. They're trying to be cruel.
Right.
Because that's what fascists do.
People don't want to work. They just want to lay around, and we're giving them money. The government's giving. I heard a lot of that.
I wish somebody would give me money.
Yeah, me too.
I'm tired of this. I'm old and tired of this.
Yep.
Hurt shit. I don't want to keep doing this. I'm gonna. Oops.
Okay, I'm gonna play a little bit more of him. I got another clip. I'm not sure what this one is.
80-year-old man came. Let's say you're walking down the street with your kids, just on a beautiful day. You're just taking a walk. You got the dog. You got the kids, and then an old man walks up to you, and he's kind of stiff. And that's an old man. That looks like a nice old man. And imagine that old man walked up and he whispered, because he's always whispering, "I want to chemically castrate your children. Can I sniff their hair first?" You might say, okay, this is the type of guy we don't want to be around. But for some reason, this man apparently.
Yeah. So that's what he gets out of the whole thing. Now, if you listen to these people, you would think that if you stopped in any classroom, they would have the kids chained to a desk, and they would be like trying to attack them and chemically castrate them and convince them that they have gender dysphoria. And it's just like, what is the reality of what goes on in schools is none of that. I think I want to interview one of my great nieces who are in like 7th grade, I think, and find out just exactly what she's heard, because I'd like to see the reality of this fucking big scare thing that they got going here. It kind of drives me nuts. Yeah, let's see what else I got. We got a clip at 1902. Oh, we're right there.
He's the president of the United States. Anyway, here's some of his plans to help families chop their children's genitals off.
These plans are just
This year, we're committing more mental health resources and new funding for programs to help families support and affirm their kids. A new federal initiative to address the LGBTQ homelessness.
The LGBTQ homeless. First off, he just got rid of the T there, right? I like how he just forgot about the T.
I don't know. So what he said is, I think Biden said, what, more money for basically programs?
New funding for programs to help families support and affirm their kids. Mental health resources and new funding.
Mental health resources, right. So he's against mental health resources.
So are the programs he's talking about actually singularly for LGBTQ people?
Are the what that
does
he's
it sound
talking
like
about?
he's talking about a more generalized healthcare and mental health support?
I'm guessing. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't know who else besides like primarily trans people are gonna want to turn their dicks into vaginas or their vaginas into dicks. I mean, I'm not saying those people aren't out there, but no, I'm just like I can't imagine who else would utilize this care if they weren't trans.
Right.
Okay, no, it isn't
as a practical matter. The way it actually works in real life is, if you want to have genital reconstructive surgery, you need to get 2 letters, at least one from a practicing psychiatrist. In other words, someone with an MD who is a mental health practitioner, and another one from someone qualified in the field, like a MSS, a clinical social worker or something like that, somebody with another degree, before a surgeon will fucking look at you. You know, before they'll perform any surgical operation, you'll need those. It's part of best practices. It's part of the WPATH standards of care. So to think that anybody is just sort of going out on a whim, first of all, it's an absurd concept to begin with, from the get-go. Because who the fuck would ever even consider any of that stuff? Really? Seriously? As Leo just said, you wouldn't do it unless you were trans. Because it's not a game. You know, it's very serious stuff.
That's not what the bill is that Biden is talking about. He's talking about $10 million in grants to organizations for providing interventions and treatment services to children from birth to 12 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. That says nothing about trans.
Yeah, there are those dangerous doctors out there that are going to trans your kids. You know, they're out there. It's a conspiracy.
It's about millions of young people struggling with bullying, violence, trauma, and we owe them greater health care at school. So that's what he interpreted. I mean, he just narrows right in on the trans thing, and that isn't what the fucking bill was about.
I think it's really worthwhile pointing out that a lot of this is, if someone is troubled, has issues around gender identity, they're not all going to be trans. They're just not. They're going to, you know, you hear a lot of stories about, well, a whole bunch of people don't go all the way through the whole process. But on the flip side, of those who do, almost all go through medical steps at the end.
Yeah.
But that's that's pointing out good practice and good diagnosis. That's why the regret rate is so fucking low.
Practically non-existent.
It's like 2%.
No, I think it's like 1%, at least according to what I have.
The figures I hear the most consistently is 2%. But even at that, I mean, regret rate for knee surgery is upwards of 30%. So it's like there's no rhyme or reason to this.
Yeah. So mental health, spending money on mental health and mental health programs, and teaching children about psychology, about what it is to be human, is something that, I mean, I almost died once when I was in school, and several times before I was 24 years old at my own hands. And I could have used a little bit of fucking help when I was a teenager. In fact, I could use you could have used a lot of help. What I found that crystal meth and alcohol were basically the medications that worked for me. And they didn't work very well because they frequently led to another suicide attempt. But that was the only choice I had back when I went to school, because they didn't teach kids anything but how to add, how to multiply, all that bullshit. And these guys are talking about, they want to replace our arithmetic lessons with lessons that tell kids about what it is to be a human being. And that's why I fucking hate Christians. I do not like them. I want them gone, because they are standing in the way of progress. What we know today.
For sure, the stigma around mental health was a big deal when you and I were young. Huge deal. And like my brother was a clinical social worker. I worked for the Washingtonian Hospital for the Center for Addictions in Boston for ages and ages. And the issues then, I'll tell you.
Yeah. And the school, I must admit that the school I went to, they were trying to do something with me, because they kept moving me from one weird thing to another, and they kept doing things to me. What they didn't do is they never fucking sat me down and told me what was going on. I'd show up for school one day and they tell me, oh, you're going to go into the special class and we're transferring you. And they'd never fucking tell me why. They never talked to kids about the problem, right? And that's what needed to be done. And it fucking near killed me. You seem to be having a problem here. Let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. We can figure this out. And it just by virtue of giving people a little bit of hope, doesn't that make a huge difference in somebody's life? I mean, way better than, trust in God. It's not like God hasn't been an option for a lot of these folks all along. Well, you just need to believe in the scripture. You need to pray harder and all of this other stuff. Well, if the fucking scripture is telling you you're all wrong, that you're a sinner from the get-go, and by the way, if you happen to be queer, then you're even worse, and there's no way out for you except for hell damnation at the end of the day. I mean, it's like, Jesus Christ, that's not contributory to mental health. Yeah. One of my gay friends that I went to, that was in my class, put a rope around his neck and killed himself. That was the kind of support we had back in the 60s and 70s. So, okay, let's see what else Jerkwad has to say here.
Most likely they are just gay. Perhaps they're actually straight and it's just a phase, but whatever. Most likely they're just gay, which is why I always say that there's nothing more anti-gay than the trans movement, right? Because they literally want to, you got it, with these poor gay kids. Okay. But let's say this boy is confused about his gender identity. Now the government has put money towards mental health and programs. Do you think there is any chance in high hell that the kid now goes to this facility or the guidance counselor at school or whatever the mechanism is that this program would be instituted? Do you think there is any chance in hell that they would do anything other than encourage this kid to become trans?
So what he's telling me there is, when I was a child, when I was suffering from an ulcer in 4th grade and a raging alcoholic father, that if I'd gone to the counselor, they would have tried to turn me trans. Is that what he's saying? That's what the money's for? It's like, this is just such bullshit. Like, how the fuck did they get there? I just can't understand it. You know, they don't want this service available for their children. Well, take your fucking children out of school and homeschool them like you assholes normally do, if that's what concerns you. But don't tell the rest of the parents or cut off the rest of the kids from this sort of help. I just don't.
Basically, when Dave said they want to turn all your kids gay or trans, then, you know, people should have clicked off of that and watched a cat video or something, because that they would be smarter at the end of a cat video than at the end of a Dave Rubin video.
Yeah. This guy's pretty bad. He just can't. I've seen him before, but I'd never actually listened to him before and looked into him. So anyway, maybe we should just switch over to cat videos. What you're saying, Scott?
Cat videos are pretty good, although I've been watching these videos where these elephants who are injured are found by teams of veterinarians and operated on in the jungle. And to me, that's a very heartwarming set of videos. So I've been watching elephant videos instead of cat videos.
Yep. Good choice.
Yeah, because at the end, the elephant wakes up, has been treated, and they tell a nice story about how the elephant went on to be healed of his injuries and go on and back into the wild and live with his herd. So you always leave with good feelings.
Yeah. Elephant videos better than cat videos. Yep. I'll tell Snack how you feel. Snack tried to wake me up at 2:30 this morning, so I shot him 4 times. I didn't hit him.
Hopefully you're talking about a Nerf gun.
I just shot at him. Yeah, I do have a Nerf gun. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's for home defense, my Nerf gun. These are for home defense. Anyway, I don't know. Are we done with this guy? There's a few more clips, but I don't think anything happens. 2024.
I think this is so cool.
Huh?
Watching Stephanie ply her trade and, of course, express her opinions.
Yeah.
There's nothing more American than this.
Look at that sale. Oh, if I put one of those on my Cadillac, would I get better gas mileage?
Probably so.
Yeah. If I could operate it from the inside with my, I could hook it to my mirror remote control to turn it. So I could always be, sailing. That'd be cool. Anyway, what else? Leo, what the hell are you up to? Other than, he's ignoring us. Love it.
He may still be reading about Harvey Milk.
Might be. Oh, I don't know what I got here. Let's see. Let's look at the transcript and see what I'm about to play. What am I about to play? Oh, are just gay, perhaps they're actually straight, it's just a phase, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Nothing more anti-gay than the trans movement. Poor gay kids, okay, but yeah, whatever. I don't know what else he's got to say here. Let's see if I got another bookmark. 25. Oh my God. And then he shows the little, this iconic picture. I couldn't find anywhere.
I just got to wonder, how is there nothing more anti-gay than the so-called trans movement? Because it seems like the guy has no conception of the difference between gender identity and sexuality. I mean, there are gay trans people. There are straight trans people. It's not. There are bi trans people. There are,
and
sexuality is an independent facet of human personality than gender identity. It's like so weird.
Sexuality is a lot broader, and teaching about sexuality in grade school and high school is something that we have needed for so fucking long. Because
And they don't want that either, for God's sakes, you know?
All of a sudden, like, you turn 12, 13, and all of a sudden the whole fucking world tips on its ear for you, and nobody prepared you for any of it. It's just absolutely mind-numbing. And that was like another transition for me that totally fucked me up. And
Fucks up a lot of people.
my parents had absolutely zero ability to talk to me about any of it, you know, or teach me about any of that.
Oh, well, you know, if you, trans was at least when I was young, trans was a thing that one was vaguely aware of, with Christine Jorgensen. Oh, I don't know. Look magazine in 1969 did a 4-page spread on trans people. It was pretty good, and it certainly caught my attention. And all of that, but gay? No. Oh, no. What do we do with gay people? We could put them on, let's see, what did we do to Alan Turing? We put him on cross-sex hormones, and thought it'd work out well. It didn't.
Castrated him too.
Well, that's what I mean. Chemically castrated. Well,
that's what they do. Okay, I didn't know.
They basically gave him spironolactone or something along those lines that reduces testosterone level. And in other words, like, gave him totally inappropriate treatment for something that he didn't need to be treated for in the first place. Because, hey, being gay is fine.
Okay. So, going ahead.
Onward and upward.
Scott.
With the loonies.
Yeah, the only other thing I wanted to say real quick was that isn't it becoming apparent, despite the protestations of conservatives, that parents aren't necessarily competent to personally help their kids deal with certain issues, or lots of issues, such as sexuality.
Yeah. Like we understood a long time ago that parents weren't exactly going to be capable of teaching our kids math and science. So we started public schools, but we left out sexuality and bullying and basically all the things that affect human beings every fucking day of their lives, you know, and we don't teach any of that because parents are no more capable of teaching that than they are math and science. And I know my parents were capable of teaching me math and science. So anyway, there was something else. There was another video that I just wanted to link before I leave or mention, and I can't remember. Oh, it was another Rubin thing. Okay, this one. So to tell you where Rubin's at, basically, watch Joe Rogan's face when RFK Jr. tells him these censored facts. So somebody mentioned RFK Jr. Is running for president, says phones are changing our DNA. He's also an anti-vax.
What?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, you didn't know that, Stephanie?
Phones are changing our DNA.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
They are.
Fascinating news. I'm glad. Any particular phone? I mean, if it's an iPhone, how does that work? I mean, if it's a Google device or something, do you wind up with a different thing? And will there be laws about the genetic results?
Yeah. Yeah, because the Android phones and the iPhone. They do a different thing than, you know, the Android will change their DNA one way and the iPhone the other way.
Yeah, that's right. So see, the Android will turn you into an Android, while the Google will, while the iPhone will turn you into an I.
An I.
Right? Do I have that right?
Maybe.
I don't know.
You'll grow new eyes.
You grow new eyes, yeah.
Little eyes, basically, not big eyes, little ones.
I don't know. I think the little I is teaching most of these guys how to think.
So I'm trying to get a.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, right.
And so this guy, he's running for president, I guess.
Cannot issue an emergency use authorization to a vaccine if there is an existing medication that has been approved for any purpose that is demonstrated effective against the target illness.
And of course, we didn't have that, right, with COVID. What did we have that was, approved and worked that we knew about? So we suggested vaccines, and this guy is all against that.
By
Then
the
they go
way,
on
they pushed ivermectin as a treatment for COVID. That's what they were treating one elephant with that had collapsed in the sun due to stomach problems and parasites and things. So that's what ivermectin's for, is treating worms and parasites and other things like that, not for a virus. It's not an antiviral. So anyway, I just wanted to express that.
Okay. I think I'm done. Want to go home. Time to go home. Shoot her in the head, Scott?
Go right ahead. My weapon has no ammunition right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna link this video about this RFK Jr. I don't know too much about him. I think I heard something about his anti-vax thing a while back.
Well, I think he's intended to take votes away from Biden.
Why are they losing their shit over all these crazy fucking things over and over again? Climate change, anti-vax.
They don't learn.
Like, why are these the platforms of the modern Republican Party when we have so many more important things that we could be concerned with than fucking stirring everybody up about this shit? I don't know.
Oh, he's anti-climate change, according to the captive desk.
I'm sure he is, because it all runs together in a fucking bundle. And it goes back to what we were talking about with where Aron was talking about that guy that says the first thing we need to do is make them doubt science. But before we do that, what we need to do is rewrite history. And they talked a bit about how rewriting history, so it looks like all progress happened by white Protestants, basically. That's what we started talking about. So we got to rewrite history, and we got to make people doubt science, and then we can get them going.
And whatever you do when you're writing history, don't make me feel bad about being white.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Oh, God, no.
We can have a proper theocracy. Then people are susceptible, they said, to the biblical beliefs. And we can get people to start fucking signing up,
I mean, they're ignorant.
And then we'll have our theocracy. And then what the fuck is going to happen to us atheists?
Lots of death. Lots of death.
Yeah.
So
who is it? Maz Jobrani he was on I think Rebel HQ last night. He is I think he's from Iran, and he really pointed out that once Iran overthrew the whatever was it the Shah, but once they overthrew that government and became a theocracy, things did not get better. People were being murdered.
Surprising that.
Yeah, freedom was taken away. It just doesn't happen that way. When you go to a theocracy, more people die. It doesn't get better.
Pine Creek doesn't think we should teach the bad stuff that the U.S. did in the past. Why? See, that's what I was talking about. Why you would put a U.S. flag in your lawn? It's that sort of pride that I'm proud of that and whatever.
National pride, yeah.
But anyway, I'm sure the lawns are big enough for lots of flags.
So who has encouraged Robert Kennedy Jr. to run, right?
No.
Steve Bannon.
Oh my God.
Oh boy. Yeah. Just trying to take votes away from Biden.
Yep. God. Anyway. Serious. I'm not joking. I'm serious.
I think I'd heard that as well.
God, Robert Kennedy must be rolling over in his grave listening to that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, going to shoot her in the head.
Perhaps we should.
We should.
Well, Stephanie, I want to thank you for coming on.
Well, I want to thank you for having me.
Especially as you demonstrate your skill in making sales.
Yeah, I want to thank you for making sales.
Okay. Well, I'm being leaned on by this old guy that wants these sales, like, because it's coming up on the 4th of July, and it's Maine, and he comes to Christmas Cove.
Better get it done.
The model, by the way, Christmas Cove is the model for Cabot Cove of just.
Oh.
It's a lovely little town.
So do you have like one person getting murdered every week?
No. Interestingly enough, no.
Well, y'all need to try harder.
I guess, right? Yeah. Hard telling.
Yep. Okay. We're going to end this. So say goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye, side chat.
Yep. Goodbye, crew world. Thank you guys in the side chat for showing up. Thank you, Stephanie. And Leo.
Thank you.
And James briefly.
James, for the moment that you were there.
Yep. Goodbye, crew world.